An actor whose performances create a special place in the heart and forever reside in the memory, Ratna Pathak Shah has raised the bar and scope of acting in the world of Indian theatre, television and cinema. She studied acting at the National School of Drama while she had already fallen in love with theatre acting at the tender age of 12, thanks to her mother and veteran actor Miss Deena Pathak. Be it Maya Sarabhai or Usha Bhuaji, her characters simply made the audience fall in love with her all over again. Welcoming Ratna Pathak Shah, a true acting powerhouse.
Thank you very much. It's a bit too much of a build-up, so I'll wait for that to subside a bit.
Okay, I'll start with a very common question that everybody has: how to stay happy. I suppose you have a very happy life, and you have a happy marriage, you have a happy childhood, everything. Why then you still consider your life a very boring and unfitting for an autobiography or a biography?
An autobiography or a biography or a biopic requires a little masala. My life has plenty of masala, enough for me, but I don't think I have either had the kind of life that lends itself to a telling, nor do I think I've really done anything significant enough to want to talk about it. And particularly when I follow after somebody who has done the kind of things that the Shankara Eye Hospital has done, or several of the other people who were in your lineup and I was reading about. It feels, I sometimes feel like a bit of a charlatan, but I know one thing that my life has been for me, and that is that I have always found myself around very interesting people, and I have been an onlooker, the fly on the wall. I may not have participated very actively in some of the events around me, but I have watched and I've observed and I've learned, and I find that there is value in that, and that's something that I often want to share with others, the kind of learning that I have had the opportunity to experience. So yes, my life wouldn't make for a very interesting autobiography. I don't have too much tragedy, I don't have a real struggle, I don't have any major high point when I sort of, went to Mars or flew a plane or did something like that. But I definitely have had the occasion to meet very, very interesting people and live at a time when I think India was at its best. I feel very grateful that I got that opportunity. And the generation that came after the halchal of the independence, it was a time when India was trying to design a future for herself. We were thinking in terms of what kind of a country we want to be. And people in my field, in the arts, were thinking really seriously about what kind of art, what kind of theatre, what kind of films are really Indian films. We are great imitators. And in my profession, the imitation has gone on for way too long. We just copy stories, we copy ideas from all over the world, we copy songs, we copy styles of acting. We don't have too much trouble about needing to be original. So, at a time like that, I was surrounded by people who were genuinely thinking about what it is like to be a real Indian art or a real expression of the Indian experience. And I'm afraid we have still not come up with enough answers. Unfortunately, we seem to have abandoned the project. Now we don't even want to be, we are not even looking for what it is like to be a truly modern Indian society. We are either looking back, or we are looking over our shoulder at China, or we are looking sideways at America, or we are looking downwards towards somebody or the other. We just want to imitate successful ideas all around. That seems to be part of our national character at the moment. It depresses me greatly because I have lived through a time when there was a search for something genuinely belonging to us, coming out of our soil, answering our needs, and speaking to our people. So, from that point of view, yes, I have things that are interesting, that have happened to me, but I don't think I'm going to make a very interesting subject for a book.
And did an interfaith marriage create some masala in your life?
Interfaith marriage, that also didn't create too much masala, unfortunately. That was a time when in India you could marry another person from another caste, another religion, and not have everyone breathe down your back. You know, कमाल था वो एक मौसम हिंदुस्तान में ऐसा भी था.
It doesn't happen.
It happens, but with everyone breathing down your back and shouting Ghar Wapsi and Romeo Brigade and God knows what else. You know, I mean, we are going through a very awkward situation at the moment. But that was not true when I was getting married. And my family took very easily to Naseer. They'd known him for a while also. And Naseer's family took very easily to me. We were, as I said, extraordinarily lucky at that time. Also, we were very determined. We were not asking for permission, quite honestly. We were just telling people that it's a done thing. We're just going ahead and doing it. But it was even not around us, you know. Nobody made a tamasha about it. Today, I'm afraid somebody names their kid something and there's a hoo-ha trolls out on, everywhere. It's an odd situation. Rather than moving forward, we are regressing, it seems.
So it is a misconception that the second generation artists have their life sorted and the path is much easier for them. So how easy or tough has it been for you and now also for your sons?
Yeah. Well, my mother is was an actress, so were my aunts, and but they were not film actors. You see, actors are not just film actors. You know that, no? I mean, there is a life outside films in our world also. So, my mother used to act in Gujarati plays while I was growing up. But before that, my mother used to work with the Indian People's Theatre Association, the IPTA, which was part of a huge uprising to find an Indian voice in the theatre. And that was the time of the Bengal famine, when she first joined with IPTA, 1940s, early 40s I'm talking about. So the kind of plays they did were largely plays meant to talk to audiences across the country about the situation, about the freedom struggle, about the struggle, various struggles against oppression that were happening in our country at that time. So it was a very, very vibrant kind of theatre company. It wasn't the kind of theatre that we see nowadays in auditoriums, air-conditioned, neat and tidy. None of that. They used to perform on the back of a truck, for example. They just drop one side of the truck down and that would be a performance space. So Ma went through that kind of an experience. Of course, I was not around when she did that, but she talked about it a lot to me. And through her, I met a lot of people who also had similar experiences. So it was a very interesting story for me at that time. And I grew up thinking of acting not only from the point of view of something glamorous and to be done on screen, but also acting that affected lives of people, acting that brought change in societies, acting plays which talked about issues around us. So my whole experience was different, and I'm very thankful for it. I in fact, grew up backstage. By then, my mother had started acting in a lot of Gujarati plays, and I can tell you, those plays were highly formative for me. They told me what not to do. They convinced me of what is poor quality acting and what I will never do when I grow up. 100% I was certain about that. That I will not be part of this kind of theatre. That is imitative, that copies what is done everywhere else. that has no desire to do anything else except make money. I was lucky again because I met Mr. Satyadev Dubey, a theatre director in Mumbai, who did the kind of theatre that I find very, very valid. A theatre which is exploratory, a theatre which may be poor in its resources. He didn't have sets and fancy things ever, but the focus on the quality of acting and the idea of communicating a play, I learned a great deal from Dubey. So he was a very big influence on me. So I find that as an actress, I learned many, many things from my surroundings, but largely what not to do. Even when I went to the LSD, you see, in India, we have a very strange situation. We have absolutely no trainers for actors. We've never focused on that. We have never created a group of teachers who could teach acting. Just तुक्के से कोई सिखा देते थे, कोई आ जाते थे, 4 दिन की वर्कशॉप इन्होंने ले ली, 10 दिन का प्रोग्राम इन्होंने कर दिया. So it was all very ad hoc. So you learned a lot of tricks as you went along, but no real substance. When I came back from the LSD, I had to dump all that. And to dump something that you have seen your mother do all her life is difficult. Unfortunately, by the time I grew up, my mother was doing mothers in Hindi movies, which means, in those days, a mother in a Hindi movie either cried, fed her son parathas, made chai, and stayed up at night looking worried. Right? So my mother had these 4 expressions. In fact, Supriya and I used to constantly joke about it. कि माँ का अभी expression number 65 आएगा देखना. And sure enough, expression number 65 was there. But she was acting on autopilot, poor woman, by the time I was growing up. So we used to laugh about it, but both Supriya and I were very clear that this is not the kind of acting we want to do. So then what kind of acting do we want to do? It has been a great search for both of us. And the search for me has lasted all my life. And I've learned from various people along the way. And have realized that what I started out thinking as what is right acting, I've changed my mind quite dramatically. Everyone feels that it's easier for people within the industry to get work as actors. Yes, you're a little more visible. You get to meet the film director a little more easily than some kid who's coming from Indore and turns up and says, I want to act. Sure, they treat you with a little more respect, but just a little. And yeah, I guess it's easier in that sense. But it was not easier for me. And I don't know too many actors for whom it has been easier. A lot of them get good breaks. A lot of them get 3-4 films because of the influence of their various parents. But eventually it's their work that has to speak for itself. And if that work is not good enough or is not attractive enough to the audience, I'm afraid they suffer same as anyone else. And their suffering is worse because, you know, they are made to say, "Arey, iska beta nikamma nikla, ya uski beti third class nikli." That's very unfair on parent and child. So, yeah, I don't think it's a terribly big advantage. It can be a double-edged sword. And what is most important, I feel, is you miss out on the magic. There is a certain magic in the theatre, you know. When people watch a play for the first time, the expression on their face when they come backstage to meet us, or a person who watches movies, when I hear Quentin Tarantino talk about his absolute fascination for movies as a young boy growing up in a video store. You know, I mean, that just, I can see that excitement in his eyes. I never had that excitement. I always saw it from the other side. So I missed out on the magic a little bit, I feel. It's a small price, it's not much. And my kids, I'm afraid, are going to face all the problems that anyone faces. And as they should. Because, I mean, why do we want to edit out the problems in our kids' lives? Have you just thought about it a little bit? I mean, a lot of you seem to be too young to have children of your own. But those who do, Why would you say कि मैं अपने बेटे को या बेटी को सब दूंगी जो मुझे नहीं मिला? क्या आप क्यों कहेंगे ऐसी बात? मुझे जरा बताएं। क्योंकि आपको जो नहीं मिला उसने आप में आग लगाई ना, इसीलिए आप लोग सब यहाँ बैठी हैं आज। अगर वो सब मिल गया होता तो अभी आप लोग किटी पार्टी में बैठे होते ना। यहाँ क्यों बैठे हैं आप? सो ये मेरा कहना है कि जो हमको नहीं मिलता वही तो हमको प्रोत्साहन देता है, और something that we want to achieve, some fire in the belly, and that's very difficult for a kid from the film fraternity to have, particularly if your parent is a rich and successful actor herself or himself. It's very difficult to get that fire in the belly. And acting is eventually an extremely tiring, boring, sometimes, profession. There's no getting away from it. I mean, you guys see one aspect of our lives, but the rest of it is really quite unpleasant. The long gaps between work, for example, are that didn't, they also came with the same stars in their eyes. So it's a tough business. The competition is bad, the humiliation can be terrible, and a lot of the times, actors are genuinely unskilled. They don't know what to do. And what is worse, directors are unskilled. So it's a double whammy. I don't know what to do, the director doesn't know what to make me do, so both of us look at each other and do some rubbish and say, "Humne art bana diya." I mean, the number of first-time learners on a job on a film set are enormous. Everyone is learning on the job. Not now so much, but when I started working, sure enough, everyone was learning on the job. When we did Idhar Udhar, which was my first television serial, everyone was first-timers. Nobody had made television serials before. All of us didn't know what we were doing. We were actors, and there was a director who had done his training in the Film Institute and what have you, but nobody had ever actually made a television program. So we were all learning. And there's a great excitement in that, but there's a great problem in that also. You can go wrong as much as you can go right. So these are all the various things that do happen, that you don't see from the outside, but that is true, and it is a tough thing to learn how to do something right when you have no guidance for it. It is really tough.
This side of the industry, I'm sure none of us had an option of, like, we didn't know about this. Like,
you don't have to know. I mean, you have to look at the magic and go get blown away by it. But this is a fact.
Like, staying unemployed for 3 years and then, facing the media at the same time.
The last paying job I had was Mubarkan, which was shot in 2016. 2017 maybe, something. 2017. And nothing since then. I'm shooting a film now, but there are 2 years in between. Tough. You don't know if you're going to get another job again after that. And it's interesting when everyone in the house is sitting around waiting for work, as it often happens in my family, There are 5 actors all waiting for work. The doorbell rings, mera number aayega.
I'm sure we have more respect for the actors after learning this truth. Female actors often delay getting married and having kids, thinking that it will majorly or even negatively affect their career paths. How did you manage work alongside marriage, and did work take a backseat during this time?
I think a lot of women generally postpone having children nowadays because of work reasons. And all in all, I don't think it's such a bad idea. I think having children a little later in life is a good thing. You yourself are a little mature, and you more able to deal with all the various issues that suddenly spring up. It's one of those jobs where there is no training, no manual, nothing. You're just thrown into the deep end of the pool. Ab manage karo aap log. Jaise bhi kar. And we are lucky. We have families, we have older people helping us, we have friends all around. I mean, in India, we are very lucky as far as children are concerned. We really are. That's why we have so many of them. So, I was lucky. I had great support. My mother and my mother-in-law, both of whom were totally doting grandmothers. And my mother absolutely came into her own. I think her final role was her absolutely best role, that of a grandmother. She was a superb grandmother, she really was. So, I was lucky, as I said. But I also was never a full-time actress, right? I wanted to be a full-time actress, but I never was. I never got that kind of work. So I was an on and off actress. I worked constantly in the theatre though. It's easier to do because you're not performing every night.
You have to travel as well.
You have to travel, but that's doable. As if you have mom and mom-in-law and Aji-bai and various other, people to help look after the child, then it's much easier to do, of course. And I had that help. So I found it quite easy. And I definitely wanted to be a working mother. I was sure about that. I was clear about that. I thought my mother was a working mother, and I saw the value of it. I thought if I sat at home all day and looked after my children, I'd go mad, and I'd certainly drive them mad. So it was safer for me to be out of the house, at least for a little while, to focus on myself, to build myself as a human being. Only then can I be of use to other human beings. So I had no guilt at all about working after having children. I had decided that right from the beginning of my career, that I will have a career, whatever I can, and I will have children and a family also. And yes, it takes a bit of an effort. It is some juggling, but it's not undoable, as all of you know. Everyone's doing it.
So then, as we discussed this, and as you shared how you could manage work alongside marriage and kids, you mentioned the name of two people who helped you a lot, and both of them were women. So, indeed, even I feel that when you talk about women, when they have to go to work, they need a much larger support system at home. Somebody who can take care of their household responsibilities, take care of their kids. So
it's becoming more difficult, particularly in the big cities, in nuclear families, people traveling all the time, transferable jobs for everyone. The industrial model of organizing society, which is what we all are stuck in at the moment, and we have accepted it as unchangeable. More is the pity. But this industrial model is horrible for human beings. It is a model that thinks that human beings, like capital, are constantly movable and have no root. They have no need to set roots down. Human beings need to set roots down. We need a connection. We cannot be transferred like money, like capital can be transferred. We must understand that. And India is just getting neck deep into the industrial model of organizing society. We are not prepared for it. We've come from a very different model of society, and we are going to see a lot of mental, social problems coming up because of this. We are not prepared, we are not even looking at it, unfortunately. We don't until it's the last minute, like climate. We are not even looking at it. Until we all go down like that, then we'll look at it.
With actors, it often happens that we remember them with the characters they have played instead of, and we sometimes overlook the actual person they are. So Maya Sarabhai has been such a character that I'm sure nobody can forget. And I'm sure the nation wants to know how similar are you in real life to Maya Sarabhai, and how much would you enjoy a daughter-in-law like Monisha?
Two questions. I can answer the first one more easily. I am a lot like Maya Sarabhai in the sense that I do find the kind of things Maya finds offensive, I find them offensive too. particularly crassness of behavior. I find that very, very difficult to take. But unlike Maya, I don't have that lovely jumlebazi in my hands. That's all Atish Kapadia, that's the writer, not me. I had nothing to do with that. That was his contribution, and wonderful contribution. The way the kind of things he picked on to describe Monisha, the kind of things, picking up a free sweet. Every time I see a free sweet, I think, oh my God, if Monisha were here, she'd pick it up for sure. Right? So these are the kind of things that are very much part of all of us. All of us have done it. Let's not lie. Yes, how many people have stayed in a hotel and picked up the little shampoo sachet? Everyone does that. And some even take away suitcases full of stuff, as we have seen. So, Indians are giving full fodder to a writer like Atish Kapadia, and he makes full use of it. So, I don't have Maya's great wit. I wish I did. I wish I could come up with some of her deadly sarcastic ones. But I don't, I can't. And otherwise, I do feel that I could be very much like Maya, except I don't think I live in the kind of world Maya lives in. My world is a little more real. Maya's world is like, it's a socialite's world. It's not a real world.
And she has certain luxury, she can just say things and
get
away with them.
Absolutely. The writers give her full luxury to do everything. And about having the daughter in the right audition? Yeah, well. When we started doing Sarabhai, which was in 2006, by the way, and when we did Sarabhai, we were on air, sorry, not 2006, we started in 2004 and ended by 2006. We were done by 2006. And in those 2 years, I remember our TRP used to be 0.06%. And Comedy Central or Comedy Challenge or one of these things was on in the same channel, and they had a programming of 9. So nobody was watching Sarabhai. Nobody. Sorry. It was a complete flop when it first came around. It was only when it was run all the time on a loop, that's when people started watching it. My own family was not watching Sarabhai forever. I mean, my aunts and all would watch Khichdi, but not Sarabhai. So it was tricky. People didn't catch on to that humor very easily. It took everyone a bit of time to get used to that. And I remember saying to Atish, please don't be so rude about the middle class. I mean, I'm a member of the middle class. And I think the middle class has some absolutely wonderful values. The values of holding on to your family, the values of honesty and leading a decent life, of working with honesty, of saving money, of not misusing things, not ek khao aur char pheko, which is what we all are doing nowadays. And I really appreciate the fact that Monisha can come up with 5 different uses for a banyan after the banyan has been done away with. I'm amazed. I really and truly love Monisha for that. The character of Monisha. So I remember telling Atish, bhai, itna rude mat ho towards Monisha, it's not fair. Because I like Monisha in many ways and don't do this. And he said, Ratna, just leave it. So of course he was looking at it from the point of view of the humor. And he realized, rightly so, that it's going to work. And it did work. But what I'm really appalled by, and I have to say this, is nobody objected to that kind of rude putting down of the middle class individual. Nobody objected. Everybody happily accepted it. And now, if any of you travel and have been on an airport for more than 10 minutes, you know what I'm talking about. There's a Monisha, male and female, lurking about everywhere, shouting loudly, making complete nuisance of themselves, careless about everyone else, pushing to get to the front of the cabin, standing up when you don't, when the air hostess asks you to sit down, using your phone non-stop when you're not supposed to use it. How many of you are doing that here? Right? So, we have accepted this ugly, crude creature, Monisha, as reflective of our personality as Indians. God, that's sad. For me, it's very sad. Yes, I can laugh at it. Absolutely. But shouldn't that laughter make me look at myself and say, I shouldn't behave like this? I should behave a little better than Monisha? On the contrary, अपन तो भाई ऐसे हैं. We are delighted with this idea of being crude, ugly individual everywhere we travel. Have you ever met a bunch of Indians abroad? You probably have been part of those bunches of Indians abroad, and you want to cringe. Don't you? Be honest. You want to cringe when you are standing in front of a beautiful bit of architecture or art and somebody shouting loudly, "Hey, chalo chalo, golgappa taiyar hai." Doesn't work. It just does not go. And yet we are willing to accept it as part of us. Not nice. This morning in the plane that I was coming in, there was a gentleman sitting behind me, and the announcement for put off your cell phones had happened. We were on the tarmac, taxiing, and this gentleman is answering calls. I turned around and told him, please don't do that. He's a young man, educated, I presume. And he says, बहुत urgent call tha, madam. So I said, okay, fine. But do you not think that you should follow rules? देखिए, आप मुझसे बात करिए, आप मुझसे बड़ी है, इसलिए मैं जवाब दे रहा हूँ. That was his response. Which means if I had been younger, if I had been a man, he would have got up and punched my face. That is what we want to grow up to be. This is middle class India. This is what we want to be. Then I'm embarrassed for us. That gentleman said, I said to him, do you realize it is for our safety? Aha, samjhe. So I said, do you know that it can cause trouble? Ek phone se kuch farak nahi padta. Are you sure about it? Haan. So I sent a letter to the pilot. And I said, is that true? सचमुच अगर एक फोन से फर्क नहीं पड़ता तो मैं भी क्यों शोर मचाऊं किसी के लिए? मैं पागल हूँ क्या? Why should I make myself unpleasant? And the guy replied to me and says, हर फोन से फर्क पड़ता है. So I said, announce it. Don't just tell me. Announce it. Tell everyone. We need to realize that there is a reason. Your phone call can wait for 5 minutes. You're not going to die. You managed without phones up until now. Until about 10 years ago, everyone managed without phones. ऐसी कौन सी? ऐसा कौन सा पहाड़ टूट पड़ेगा? So this self-restraint, I must behave in a manner which does not offend my surroundings. That is something that we are forgetting. Not nice, no? And if Maya Sarabhai has taught you to do that, I mean, if Sarabhai versus Sarabhai has given freedom for people to behave ugly, then I think it's a disservice we have done.
The audience to understand things and take them accordingly.
I suppose so.
In line with that, so the Hollywood movies are taking up really well, and they are doing a very good fair business in India. Like I asked a couple of friends, why do you like watching Star Wars and Avengers and stuff? So they say कि कभी अगर aliens आ गए तो तुमको prepared होना चाहिए ना कि क्या करना पड़ेगा तब. So, but then why aren't we prepared to watch the actual real coming of age characters on screen in the Indian cinema? Why are fewer movies made on that, and why is the mainstream movies, why are they playing so safe?
Well, they've played safe for the last 100 years. They're not going to change overnight, na? How many business families here who have made one product for 100 years will dump that product and make something new? Hands up. Hardly anyone, right? You can't. When you are wanting to replace one technology with another, if you are wanting to replace one idea with another, there is a certain time lapse that takes place. If you have been listening to the same kind of rubbish for 100 years and you've been perfectly happy with it, you are going to take a little bit of time before you want to change it. And escapism has been sold to us fully. Everywhere. When you watch TV, you're an escapist. You only get Bollywood stuff, programming on television. So you're watching Bollywood in some form or the other everywhere. If you listen to music, You're watching, in a sense, you're connecting to Bollywood. You're watching something on your mobile phone, you're connecting to Bollywood. You can't even watch an ad now without a Bollywood person turning up in that. Right? We are all pervasive. As if there is nobody else in India except Bollywood. And it's a strange thing that we have a 3,000-year-old culture and we have forgotten that culture completely for this lovely 100-year-old Bollywood of ours. Bollywood, by the way, was a gali devised for us. You know that, na? It was a word coined by America as a way of looking down at us. Imitative Bollywood. Hollywood की जो नकल करता है वो Bollywood. And we have adopted it so happily. Absolutely, lovingly, we have taken it to our hearts. And we call ourselves proudly Bollywood. I hate that word because I know where it comes from. Anyway, that's besides the point. But yeah, it is a big issue that we are looking at. How does one change audience tastes? It is happening automatically, as you have seen. Your younger generation today is watching a completely different kind of programming from what their mums and dads watched. And their mums and dads are watching completely different kind of programming from what their mums and dads watch. So that generational difference is happening. But the Indian audience is still an extremely accepting audience. We don't push for excellence. We don't even push for excellence on our roads. If there's a pothole on our road, we say, हाँ ठीक है, ऐसा तो होता है बेचारे, कितने pothole भरेंगे? कोई बात नहीं, एक pothole से हम लोग काम चला लेंगे. तो वो 25 और pothole तैयार हो जाते हैं. Same principle is operated in our art. It's okay, never mind. चलता है, गंदा है, कोई बात. आप देख लो, as I said, Sarabhai was made in 2006. Last episodes were made in 2006. We made we took 10 years before we could make season 2. And in that time, have you come across a single other program that is funny? A comedy that you genuinely enjoy? How come you don't object? You pay money, no? To watch a film, to watch a play, to even watch television at home. We all pay money, don't we? So why do we object? Why don't we object? Why don't we ask for something better? Why don't we switch off our televisions when Saas Bhi Kabhi Bahu Thi is coming on? Why do we buy into it so much? Something to think about for all of us. And one of the answers that I have come up with is we've been used to watching the same stories for 3,000 years. Ramayana, Mahabharata, Puranas. Correct? Every story came from these 3 sources. And we've heard the same stories all the time, over and over again, in one form or the other. तो हमको same time चीजें सुनने की आदत है, कोई फर्क नहीं पड़ता हमको. But today's audience is becoming much more demanding, and I hope that a change will follow. Better writing, better quality of production. You know, just push yourself to be good. That is very important. Otherwise, what's the point of creating art if you're going to be just shallow?
You've said that theatre journey has been very special for you, and the backstage takes a very special part in your heart. So much so that you remember it more than how the auditoriums look from the outside. So any learnings that you've taken from your stage to your life?
Oh yes, a lot of learning. I think theatre is a bit like a marriage. You know, you live together for much longer. You participate with the same group of people for much longer. Films, you shoot over maybe 3 weeks, 5 weeks, 7 weeks, and then that's the end of it. You may never meet those people again for the rest of your lives. Whereas in the theatre, there is a certain amount of family feeling still. And definitely in the theatre, you come across better writing, much better scripting. You actually deal with literature, which is not true about any other form. So theatre is a very, very useful way. And I feel that everything I know about life, I have learned in the theatre, either from reading plays or reading around plays, the research that goes into any play that we do. So yeah.
I had also read in one of your interviews that you said that listening is also a very important skill that you've learned over this time.
Yes.
So,
yeah.
As an actor.
I don't think your audience is terribly interested in that, but it is a very technical thing. Most actors do not listen to what the other person is saying. Almost all actors simply wait for their cues. Because you have the script in your hand. You know that my line will come at X point. After so-and-so says this line. So many actors tune out. You can see it in their eyes. They're completely tuned out. They're waiting for that cue. As soon as the cue comes, they're back on. So that is what I feel leads to repetitive performances. I find most of our actors guilty of that. And in the theatre, that's more difficult to do, fortunately. So one is learned, and one has to train oneself to listen. As much as one has to train oneself to speak clearly, one has to train oneself to listen. Because you are nervous, you are thinking about your next line, you are thinking कि भूल तो नहीं जाऊंगी. But over the years I've realized that if you are listening, there is no question of you forgetting. Because then you're all there, your focus is all there, you won't forget. So listening, and I find that that works very much in real life. Have you ever met doctors who listen? How many of you have met doctors who listen? Listen, genuinely listen to you. Yeah. 15,000. Etc. That's our usual interaction with doctors. And poor things, they can't even listen in real life. I have many friends who are doctors. It's very hard to have a conversation with them. Because they're going, Even in real life, poor guys, they're in that autopilot doctor mode. Many of us do that. We don't listen to what the others are saying. We are preparing our own argument. So it's really useful. And in the world as it is today, with so much noise, if we don't listen, we're going to find it very hard.
So how can we, all women here would like to have a message from you, like how can we believe in ourselves and, see ourselves as the superhero of our story and not as a victim in our own stories. We often see women, complaining that, I've suffered so much. We're always at the yes of somebody else to define us and give an identity to us. So, because that is how I think the older generations at least have been programmed to see themselves. So what would be your message?
In fact, being a young woman today is a really tough job because you guys are reimagining yourselves. You have been given a certain kind of training all your life, as I was when I was growing up. And to see myself as something different took me some time. And it was a big effort. It is very easy to put yourself down, make yourself secondary. And it gives you great pleasure because it also gives you great love from people around you. The self-sacrificing mother, कितनी अच्छी है. बहुत बोलते हैं ये लोग. पर वो बेचारी self-sacrificing mother को क्या हुआ? वो तो जरा कोई पूछो उनसे कि उन्होंने कैसे मैनेज किया and how much of a disadvantage, how much of a mistake that self-sacrificing mother has made by not giving you the opportunity to take some responsibility yourself. Self-sacrificing mothers also are a double-edged sword. Because एक तो वो एहसान सारा जिंदगी जताएंगी कि मैंने कितना sacrifice किया तुम्हारे लिए. एक ये मुसीबत, और दूसरी मुसीबत ये कि वो तुमको अपने पैरों पे खड़ा ही नहीं होने देगी. My mother used to use this very clever little argument with us. Ma didn't know how to cook. She never learned. And my dad was a great cook. So in our house, it was always a reversed situation. My dad was in the kitchen. He would come home from work and go straight into the kitchen and rustle up something exciting for the family. And Ma would be sitting in front of the television or reading the evening newspaper or something like that. And, I often asked Ma, why don't you enjoy cooking? I mean, it's such a wonderful activity. Don't you enjoy it? She says, no. My mother was such a great cook that I never learned how to cook. That was a very convenient argument, My mother was such a great cook, she never let me come into the kitchen, so I never learned how to cook. बड़ा आसान इन्होंने अपना एक वजह बना दी माँ ने अपने लिए. But that's what it can be. We prevent our children from becoming independent by becoming self-sacrificing mothers. So we need to dump that. We've got to be supporting mothers, supporting fathers, and supporting people in the family. Sometimes I need the support of my children. It's not only one way, and it can't afford to be one way. Even a small child can give me the kind of support that an adult can't sometimes. So this reciprocation of relationships within the family, I think that is what is important. And that is what needs to be strengthened. Not कि मैं कर रही हूँ या वो कर रहे हैं. Not that. But कि ये एक unit है जो साथ मिलकर के काम कर सकता है. That's how institutions are built, you know. It's not just true of a family, it's true of a business. It's true of a theatre group for sure. A theatre company has to be like a family. And we need to all become self-supporting as well as supporting of each other. I think that's an important part of life that we must all learn.
That's very true. It applies in every stream of life, every business, anything.
Absolutely.
That is very true.
It should ideally be relationships of equality. I wish we could all be convinced of that, the value of that. If our relationships with people are relationships of equality, not of class, constantly. हम लोग constantly programming है हमारा दिमाग में कि there's distances between us. If it would be a relationship of equals in any group, yes, somebody has the more decisive, the director is definitely the more decisive person in the group of a play, for example, or a film. He is the person or she is the person who has to take the final decisions. But all the same, it's a contributory thing. It's not a top-down system of organization, you know. This top-down ka zamana gaya yaar. I wish we could just dump it, but we can't. Now we are becoming even more top-down. Everything is being decided in one place and passed down through various channels. All our decisions are coming from upar. That grassroots movement upward is shutting down almost everywhere. And now with people like Netflix and all coming in, they come in with a completely different set of rules, you know. And we just immediately go jee huzur and bow down and do whatever is asked of us. It's dangerous. I don't know what it is about Indians that we just don't know how to stand up for ourselves and ask for what is right. इतने क्यों भिखारी हैं हम लोग अंदर से? I don't know. And मेरे profession में तो मैं बहुत देखती हूँ. I don't know about you people and your professions, but I see this a lot. कि कुछ भी करेंगे to get ahead. Not nice.
Few quick questions to have a flavor of your wit and humor. A piece of acting advice you would like to give the following people: star kids like Ananya Pandey and Janvi Kapoor.
My goodness, where does one begin? But to just step out of their little air-conditioned worlds and just breathe some air somewhere else. You know, just get out of this completely lush, luxury-oriented lifestyle. That is of not much use as an actor, not even as a star. You remember early Amitabh Bachchan? Everyone remembers early Amitabh Bachchan. उसका क्या mood था उस बंदे का? When he first came, when he was not so pretty, when he wasn't wearing these hideous bow ties that he wore. Did you ever notice Amitabh Bachchan's bow ties? I just saw some old films. They were on a roll on television the other day. I was appalled by his bow ties. His bow ties were that big before he started wearing those. Do you remember that early Amitabh Bachchan? What he was like in Zanjeer, in Diwar, in Anand. He smelt of the earth. He spoke a language that I could identify with. That's why we liked him. Not his selling dabur and cement and everything version. This is a sad version of the poor man. This is the joke that he has become. But that was the man we will all remember. And that's true for every actor and actress that you may have liked. Think about it. It was that early gutsy phase when they had something special. Before Rekha became all pretty. You know, there was something about her that was different. So we just have got so used to this luxury model of ours that we've completely forgotten that there are other things, there are other lovely, lovely opportunities in this world.
Another question is, if you had to give an honest opinion on Rosacio's poetry, what would it be?
Beautiful poetry, high quality verse. Absolutely. He's my son.
Before I could complete the question, it was like outside of Mama's capacity. A few middle class habits of Monisha Sarabhai that you practice in real life.
I whack tea bags sometimes, because in the hotel rooms they give us some shitty tea bags and I need some nice strong tea, so then I'll whack some tea bags definitely. But definitely reusing stuff. I'm a big one for reusing. And I love Monisha's 5 different uses of the banyan. I love it.
And finally, when will we get to see you in Sarabhai 3?
Unfortunately, this is a question that I can't answer at all. Somebody else has to answer this question. I would do it in a jiffy. Absolutely. Anytime, anywhere, like that. It was one of the most wonderful experiences of my life. Extremely well written. I mean, you guys, again, this is something you may not realize, but in most comedy shows that I had done before that, the script would come, we'd all sit on it and say, oh my God, this is so unfunny. How are we going to make this funny? Then somebody would come up with an idea, then somebody would give another idea, then everything, we'd improvise a little bit, raise the humor a little bit, find a few funny lines. If you had Satish Shah, as I often did, Satish would come up with some really great one-liners. So all that would be added into the thing, and that's how the thing came alive. Not with Sarabhai. Not once. The script came, we did it as is. It was just brilliant. It was one of those really pleasant experiences, wonderful group of people to work with, everyone who knew how to make it work, the director, the producers, they are the difficult ones, you know. You don't often think about them, but having a irrational person for a producer can be horrible, because the producer finally has got all the money. So what he or she says is the final word. There's nothing you can do beyond that. So you can try and convince that producer, but if that person has the wrong idea, the rest of the plot is sung. Fortunately, we had a terrific producer who was with us every step of the way. So it was one of those absolutely happy coincidences where everything came together correctly.